Righto guys, today we're changing the wheel bearings in the old 105, getting it ready for our trip to the Northern Territory. So pretty well what I'm going to show you is how to pull her apart, basically knock them out, put them back together, what spares and bits and pieces I keep from taking my old ones out, just in case something does go wrong on the road. Please remember, if you like what you see in this video, please subscribe, like and share with your friends, check our other videos out, and yeah guys, let's see how we go. Cheers. Righto guys, well obviously first part of this, let's rip this wheel off. Righto, so we've got the wheel off. Next thing, going to want to get the brake caliper out. Now guys, I like to use a zip tie, hold my brake caliper up just so it's not dangling on that brake hose. I have busted a hose or two before, so you don't want to let him be flopping around. I just use the bump stop. Basically run the zip tie through my caliper, holding all in place. And that just keeps the pressure off this brake hose. You don't want to be busting him up, costing yourself a couple more dollars. Disengage the handbrake and wind him around, get this little hole at the bottom, and you have to feel in there with the screwdriver until you find the teeth for your handbrake, your adjuster, and basically you're turning the handbrake adjuster downwards, so there'll be upward motions with your screwdriver, basically flicking that down to loosen off the pressure. It's hard, you really got to imagine what you're putting your screwdriver on. Never seen one before, it will be a bit of a mission for you to find it and feel it. Once you get it, you'll be right. So it's just some little teeth in there. I'll show you when I rip this off what you're actually playing with, and just winding a cog. That's what's going to loosen off for you. But it would be very difficult if you can't imagine what you're actually looking for. That's it. So guys, what you're looking for when you go to adjust your handbrake is these little teeth here. You need to wind them, and you're looking for them through the little screw. So you need to know which way is going to be tightening and which way is going to be loosening. Your book will tell you, and yeah, but basically it should be up, should be tightening, and down should be loosening. Alright, but that's how we're going to tighten our handbrake later. There's all little cone washers on here. So you're going to have to give it a hit with a hammer to get the cone washer to pop off. So don't take your nut all the way off, you just want to loosen them all the way around. Now we're going to get a hammer, we're going to smack them right on top, get these cones to pop. Now guys, pretty well, you want to hit him smack on top of where the cone washer is. You don't want to hit your threads, don't want to bust the threads on these either, so I've still got the nuts on there. What we're doing, got a brass hammer, pretty well, we want to smack him. Don't mess with it guys, you do need to hit him. If it won't come, I keep turning it around until I get them to pop, and they'll all start coming. You get him there. Don't be gentle with it guys, you've got to hit it. It's probably better off hitting it once proper than hitting it a million times soft. Sometimes I feel like they just do not want to move. There he goes. That one's just popped. I don't know if you can see that. That one just popped. Spin him again. There he goes. Just pops. That's what you need, guys. So those two have popped. There he goes. Popped. Popped out. Let's keep working your way around. He popped. 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 There we go. Now we've got them all popped out. They do take a bit of a hit guys. Don't be scared to hit them. It does stuff things up. I haven't found a better way yet. I don't know if there's a proper tool for it. That's how I do it. It's been working for me for years. But anyway, let's go to the next stage. Righto, now we've got all the little collars out, all the little cone washers there, whatever they're called. Now, pretty well, you want to get 2 bolts the right size, going in these, and it's going to screw him and help split the axle out. Basically, this should bring our axle straight out of the hub. Mine seemed to pull apart pretty easy there. Didn't need to use both. Pull these bolts back out because axle comes out. Be careful of your axle seal in here, guys. You don't want to hurt it. If possible. I don't know if ball's going to follow this or not. Okay guys, now from here there's two retaining screws that hold it all in. Stop you from undoing the big lock nut, I suppose you'd call it. Get a big Phillips head. Look in here. Undo. Pull these guys out. One. Two. Alright, get them two out. Now this side's actually feeling pretty loose. Well, it's retaining all it is, but anyway, we get the hammer. Flat hammer, flat screwdriver. Got these three lugs in here. Basically, you should be able to just tap them around and undo him. It's on a thread, so just keep unscrewing him out. Well, now there's a big washer in there. All this will slide out. Now, because my bearings weren't stuffed, I'm just changing them because we're going on a big trip and you'd hate something like that to fail on you. I'm keeping them as a spare in case anything ever did go wrong. I keep my little bag of tricks. Could help someone else out, could help us out. It's just something that might get you home. You know, you'd hate to be stuck for something like that. Now once you get this stage, we've got to go and punch this rear wheel bearing out. I like to get an old rag, dig it in there, get as much of this grease and crap out of the way so you can see what you're working with. Because we're going to have to put a screwdriver down in there, push this bearing out the back. So yeah, get it in there, clean all that crap out. If you're keeping the bearing butt, you don't want to dirty it up, you don't want to put shit in there. So take him inside, put him on the bench, see what we're operating with. Alright, so when you look down on the inside, there's going to be two cutaways. Like you've got to clean the grease out of the middle. There's going to be two gaps where you can put a screwdriver down in between, and that's going to push on the race and push him back out. Alright, because we're going to try and keep these just for a spare. Want to look after them, so I might slip a rag through in under here. Keep it clean, catch all the bits and pieces that are coming through. Alright, when you find the spot, it's exactly opposite on the other side. So doing this is going to push my race, my bearing and my seal all out together. Don't want to hit just on the bearing, I'm trying to hit on that race if I can. Because I want to use it, well, in case I ever need to use this again. Not being too violent with it. It's a bit hard with everything covered in grease. So, our seals popped out, our bearings popped out. So we're doing it this way. Doing this way, I haven't hurt the seal. If I did need to use it again on the side of the road, bearing's still okay. Got both them there. Let's get this race out. have it, guys. Our bearing, our race, and our seal. Put them in a bag and keep them. Righto, so we're going to flip this over now, get the race out of the front. Righto guys, so we've got the bearings and the races out now, so pretty well, just got to clean this up. I'm going to give them a bit of a wash and some diesel, get all that old grease out, any grime, any bits of metal or something if the bearings were stuff. Going to get all that out, clean him up, and we'll be right to put the new bearings in. So I've given the hub a good clean out now, washed him out with some diesel, blew it out with the air compressor. Pretty well, just give it a good dry out now. Make sure it's all nice and tidy. Don't want that old diesel and stuff breaking down our new grease that we're going to put in there. So I'm going to dry it all out proper, which is good. Doesn't hurt, give your wheel studs a good clean, that sort of stuff. Get all the old muck out of them, every shred and stuff, you know, make everything go back together nicer. Doing a long drive, don't want them too tight to undo and then too loose, they vibrate loose and stuff like that because you couldn't do them up tight enough, all that sort of thing. Clean off all the old junk around the top here. You're going to stop your new gaskets sealing. Make sure that's all off. Clean as a whistle inside there now. You can see. All looking good. Alright, now I'll put the back one in first. Now I'll put the new back bearing in first. So lay him in my vise. Now guys, pretty well, when you knock out your old wheel bearings, grab the race from your wheel bearing after you've knocked him out, and you want to get a grinder and go around the outside and make him a few mil smaller so it can slip in and out. Basically, I want him to go in and out of this housing without grabbing all the sides of anything. Basically just makes it so much easier. I'm going to use that to pass my new one in, and so I can pull it back out without it being stuck in there. So I have done these before. This is one I keep to actually knock it in and out, but it does feel a little bit tight in there, just so it's easy for the video. I don't want to see it getting stuck, and shows what I do to it. So I'm pretty well going to put it on the bench grinder, grind him down a bit, shave a couple of thou off him, make it all easy, and run you through it. Show you how it all happens. I'll run you through what I do, and yeah, let's go from there. Now, excuse the mess, I've got shit everywhere, but I'm trying to get ready for this trip. Got my little bench grinder. I'm just going to grind off around that outside edge, make it nice and small, take a couple of thou off so it just slides in and out nice and easy. You see what I'm doing there? Basically grinding this edge off, just so I'm making it so it'll slip in and out. Check it. I always put it in with the fat lip down when I'm going to push my new bearing in, just give it more area to press on. It's near perfect. See that now? Pull them over. It drops into place. That's what you want. Something you're going to be able to pull in and out easy. I really don't think you can actually grind too much off it unless you break it. But yeah, it's plenty there. Basically, mate, Gulf Western is Australian made, so pretty well I'm looking to support as many Australian businesses as possible, keep our country strong. Like, I'm one of these people who sit at home crying about all the lost industries, losing Holden, Ford, that sort of stuff out of Australia. So basically, you can't do that sort of stuff if you're not going to support Australian businesses. I need a job, my kids need jobs. So guys, wherever you can, try and support our Australian businesses. So I don't know if this is good or bad. I've never used it before, so it's the first for me, but I'm giving it a run and pushing all Australian businesses. Give Gulf Western a go, guys, and let's see what happens. They say it is, so let's test it out. Now we've got the ugly job of hacking the new wheel bearings. Pretty well, I'm going to start from the back because you've got to seal the back off, and then you can roll him over. The dust seal holds it all in place. So I'll start with the back bearing. It's the bigger one of the two. Right, first thing first, I'm going to knock this new race into place. So a little smear of grease. Grease. Probably open the tub. A little smear of grease around him. Wear gloves on it. Get the shit out of you. Alright. That's it on there. A little flat piece of timber is generally to go. Just got myself a nice flat block of timber. I'm going to even cover it with a rag today, just to try and stop bits of timber or anything falling in there, bits of dirt, the dust that been sitting on it. Alright, just nice and flat on top. Nice ledgy. Got to make sure you get it even. Look at your sides, what's going down further than the other. Compensate for it. Right, now I've got it flat, level, so it's not going to work anymore with a bit of timber. Take out the big ring that we've just done. Again, just a smaller smear of grease, just so it slips and slides. Everything should be fine. But obviously, if you don't put grease on it, you keep it a bit cleaner for yourself. That's in here. A bit of timber. Line it up. Make sure you're pushing on the race. Have a look at him. And hit. Hit. That sounds solid. You can see the race that I've put in on top, it's hit it down flush, but because we ground it out, just pulls straight out. It's not stuck there at all. Right. Look down inside. You'll check your lips. Make sure you've pushed him all the way home. You'll be able to see it. Come a bit closer for you. Not sure if you're going to be able to see in here, but basically in the back you can see these grooves that are cut in it. And you can see that it's pushed right up to it. Basically, it's got its own little home to go to. Make sure you hit him home. You want him all the way in. You'll hear the different noise. It'll be solid. I'll give it another one just to make sure. Let's get the seal ready to go. Your hands are going to get nice and dirty here in a sec. Righto, good lip. Again, probably going to want to smear grease on your seal. Make everything slide in nice and easily. Bit of grease on the rubber, stops it getting affected when you go to put it on the car, that's fine. Get me bearing. This is the yucky job. You can buy little bearing packers, little things, but when I was growing up, this was the way to do it. Hand in the grease, into your palm, and using the open side of your bearing, and keep cupping it through. You want to keep cupping it, keep pushing it in there and squeezing it, until you see the grease start to squeeze through the balls, or through the bearings, out the front. Out through these, what do you call them, roller bearings. So it'll start coming out like this all the way around. And you just have to keep continuing the process, rolling it around, squeeze it. When you think you've got it, give it all a good couple of turns, go again. See that all spewing out the front of it? It means it's going through good, but we're going to have to do that a couple of times. It's a messy job. Normally it's the apprentice's job. You're working somewhere, going to be a diesel fitter or something. This used to be a job for a couple of months. Definitely a couple of weeks anyway. Right, and when you think you've gone all the way around, I'm going to hold it and roll it and twist it and turn it, basically make it look like it's operating, or make it work like it has to when it's operating. I don't know, get all that grease in the palm of your hand again, and let's go again. Make sure you do it properly the first time. Put plenty of grease in there. I like to load the hub up, load the middle of the hub up. Basically, the grease works like a bit of a cooling agent between the two bearings. When things do get really hot, that grease melts, which is working and helping your bearing, greasing it, oiling it. So don't be skimpy on your grease, guys. Can't add more later, sort of thing, once it's put back together. So don't be tight. Got my bearing all greased up, all done, as good as I think I can do it. Make sure she's turning. It's quite tight. Hopefully it's just because of that back grease in there. Okay. They're all spinning, all greased up. Put a nice big handful in here on the inside. You don't really need to do this yet, you can do it the next step. Dropping bearing in. New seal, take our new seal, place him on there. Now you want to be careful, these are a bit delicate. You don't want to bend that out of shape. So get him sitting in there nice and square. There we go. Let's see if we can use our beautiful. Go again. So this way. So skinny side down on him. Just gentle on this. Make sure it's going square, guys. Nearly there, I think it needs a touch more. That might be it. Righto, I think I've got him, but I'm just going to give him a little bit, make sure it is home. That's him. That's the backside done. All in there. Sits down nice and flush, that seal does. Beautiful. Now for this side, for the front side, I'm actually going to just sit it in the vise, just so I don't put that rubber lip on anything. See that? It doesn't have to be tight, you don't want it to hit the ground. Plug them in, fat side down. Slides halfway down, gets a bit tight there. Grab my one I prepared earlier that I've ground all the edges off. Again, smear him in grease so he's nice and slippery and he's going to come out for you. So this is going down. Your next option is to use a big socket. Alright guys, but the only thing I could find in the shed is my wheel bearing socket. It's the only thing we've got about the right size for it. So the one that the little brace that I've had, and I've ground him all down, turning that skinny side down so I've got that fat edge, get these edges on so I don't slip off and go down and mark this the good race up. So put them back to back, sitting him in there, just give this a little crank, make sure it's okay. Just going to go steady and have a feel of this. You hear a different noise when it goes home, it's solid, it's hard. Slides out nice and easy because we ground the edges off it. Again, I just want to check that I have hit this home. Looks good. Righto, so we've got that race in. Now, grease another bearing. Lovely. Pack another bearing, we should say. Another nice handful of grease. Get your bearing, back of your hand. Start squeezing it in there. Get it squeezing out the front, it is important. You know, that bit of grease there you got all piled up in the middle of your bearing, knock him back out so he's in the palm of your hand. Move it all around so you can really cup your hand. Push this grease in. Righto, got our bearing all greased up, looking good, grease everywhere. Now I put as much as I can into the centre of the hub. Basically you've got a gap in there between the two bearings. I fill that up with grease. To myself, tell myself that basically it works like a bit of heat insulation. As all that heats up, that grease is going to melt, turn to like an oil, run through the bearings. It's going to help it out, it's going to dissipate heat for you. Definitely can't do any harm. So load her up. Make sure she's all good. Try to pack her around. Don't drop your bearing out of the front here, guys. Now righto guys, when he's putting this back together, this little piece here, this washer that goes on first, goes on before the big locking nut, right? Then it has a screw that'll go in that locks it up. So when you look around your axle, there's 4 little nodules, right? And these nodules line up with these holes. So that's going to help you when you're tightening your screw to work out where you're going to need to turn it to get to the next spot, so you know where you can line up your locking screws when you go to put it in. But it'll all make sense in a second when we go to put this back together. Righto, so first things first, want to put a bit of grease on the shaft, make sure it's all going to slide on nice and easy. Don't want to hurt that rubber seal up that we've got in the back of this bearing. So just give it a light smear of grease around. See there's a bit of a lip and a bit of a hub in here. So let's get back in there. Don't get your fingers stuck. Right, just grease him up. Now don't let your front bearing fall out. Slide him on. Just a little rotation. All the air in the grease. There, that's him. You'll know you got him back far enough. Your little ABS sensor, little white tag here on the side, is basically rubbing on them teeth. Oh, it looks like it could go back further, but obviously it can't, or it'd be hitting on that. Righto, our little retaining washer. Remember which way it come out. I had everything facing down. You'll see it's got a keyway in it, little keyway at the top, so you know which way to go. It only goes in one way. Push him in. A tensioning nut, lock nut, whatever you call it. I like to give a few turns as I'm tightening it up. Actually make sure it's not stuck nowhere. It all does go home. Now, I've got a tension wrench, but I don't have an adapter or anything here to be able to put on this. There is a desired tension for it, basically to make him right, but I can't do it, because I don't have the right adapter. So basically what I'm going to do is basically just like a normal trailer wheel bearing, tap him around. Now we have 2 little locking screws that basically they've only got a couple of spots where they'll go in. You can't just like screw it in anywhere you like. So what I'm doing is I'm tightening him up till you feel the tension come on this till it gets hard to turn, and then I'm taking it back to the first available spot where I can put the lock screw in. Don't want to over tighten it. You can always tension your wheel bearings again later. You go too tight, you're going to crush it, it's stuffed. That's my theory, so let's see what happens. So you know, like, that's still quite easy to spin by hand. If you had a wheel on there, you'd be spinning around easy as. You want to move it a bit, get that grease moving, because sometimes the grease can like give you a bit of a hydraulic lock. It's going to hold you out. Let's start looking for where we can build up. Make sure those 2 little retaining screws are in nice and tight. I think if I come back one, it's going to be loose. As soon as I drive it, pretty confident that's going to be fine. Guys, one recommendation I want to make is when you are doing your bearings, go to Toyota and buy the genuine seal. Basically this is the seal that come with my kit, and they're just so tight, so hard to get on. Like I've tore the little edge of it. These go on so much nicer. They're cheap as, so I don't know, 20 bucks for 4 of them or whatever. They weren't dear. Not considering they go on properly. I'll keep these for a spare if I'm broken down on the side of the road to use, but I'm going to use the genuine one. Look at that, just go straight in. so much nicer to use. Now, slide your axle in, being careful to look after your axle seal on the inside there. You'll see you don't want to be rubbing that axle all the way along it. Try to support it with two hands. Also, line up your marks that you would have put on it. I put a little white mark on my axle and on my hub, so I can line them up to try and put the axle back in the same way it come out. The spline on your axle has engaged with your diff center, and then just tap him in, or you can use your little nuts to pull it into tight, but don't just go banging it willy-nilly. And put in all your little cone washers, spring washer, then your nut, do him up. I like to put a little bit of Loctite on them as well. You don't want these things vibrating loose on you. When these cone washers are loose or these nuts come loose, they do say it can be a good cause of actually snapping an axle because you get a little bit of movement, a little bit of play there. So make sure you do him up nice and tight or to the desired tension. Now guys, when you're putting your brake caliper back on, use a bit of Loctite on the two bolts for it and do them up tight. You'd hate these to rattle off on a rough road, that sort of stuff. It does happen. So yeah, always use a bit of Loctite and make sure you put them on tight. And that's how we do our wheel bearings. Now righto guys, when it comes to adjusting your handbrake, come in, pull your handbrake up. 1, 2, 3 will do. Right, 3 clicks. Alright, come outside, set him up. What you want to do is adjust your handbrake. This little hole down the bottom here, feel inside for your adjusting screw and screw him. I think we should be flicking him up on this side, so let's test it out. You need to know what you're looking for so you got an idea, so you know you can feel it. We'll be flicking him up. You get on them teeth and roll him up until this gets tight and I can't turn it. But when I let the handbrake lever off, it'll be loose so the car will roll. You'll hear it, you can hear your springs and everything moving when you're on the right thing. And this screw will get tight, you won't be able to move it. You screw the line slip off. And look now, very hard to move the brake. Definitely doesn't want to go backwards. Righto, let's leave this side like that. Righto, so we come over to the driver's side. Now we've only got the handbrake applied on 3 clicks. So if you pulled it up to 4 or 5, obviously it's going to be a lot tighter. Like when we go to use it, I mean. Like so, this is just a rough guide, you know. Like, so it's only on 3 clicks, you haven't barely pulled it up. If you only had on 1 or 2, well, it's probably going to be too tight when you let it off when you're rolling, that sort of stuff. So it still gives you room to play with it. You'll feel this little screw get really tight and you just can't move it anymore, so you'll know you've got it right. Make sure you get screwdriver flat as it goes in the hole. When you find the teeth, you'll hear the springs and everything working. Let's get tight ready. It's tight. Yeah, that's tight. And now I wound that wheel around to get to the right spot. Now I can't move it. Now I'll come back inside the car here. Let's drop the handbrake off. Let's see how many we can pull it up. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at a strain. This is how we can get it up. Get it off. So back here to our wheels now, we've let that handbrake off. And we can turn it over. Ooh, there it is. Righto. That's him. That's how you adjust your handbrake. Then just put your wheels back on and we're all done. Get me breaker bar, tighten them up properly, make sure it's still good. She's good to roll, handbrake and all.